Greetings and fair tidings, YouTube. 'Tis I, Life in the Hammer Lane, back again. And this is what being a flatbed trucker looks like. Yes, I've been gone for a couple weeks. I forgot to upload. I've been so busy and tired with getting adjusted. It's been quite the journey so far. So I'm through 3 weeks. Next week is my final week with my trainer. And so on Friday, I don't know if this was before or after I uploaded my first video that I had my second test that Friday, but basically what it was is it was very similar to the first week where we did the coupling, the uncoupling, showing like folding up and unfolding the tarps and throwing them on the trailer, securing them down, things like that. And then we demonstrated our ability to throw straps, what their like aggregate working load limits are, and what the weight they can support, you know, stuff like that. And then all week we were doing backing practice that was being observed by the instructors, that they were, you know, like taking notes about whether we were complete idiots or not, you know what I mean? So 3 backings that we had were the serpentine, which was like, you come up and there's 2 cones that are placed in front of each other, and you got to wiggle yourself between and out the other side, and then you've got to back them so that like the trailer swings out to the right, and then you swing it back to the left to make it straight and put it in the box. Then there was the alley dock where they had 2 trailers that were set up that you had to park between. And then there was one that was very similar to the offset, but it was like, there's like a wall that makes like an L shape, I can draw it here, like an L shape like this of cones, and you pull the tractor and trailer up here, and there's a mock dock that's at the bottom, like offsetted up to here. So you gotta back it up, bring the trailer out, bring the tractor back without nicking those cones, and then bring it straight into the box and back into it. It was like a mock dock that they set up, like wooden dock that they set up. And so it wasn't bad. It was, you know what I mean? Like, if you did good in school, you just got to apply the same thing to wherever you go. Now, the split axles with the flatbed trailers, they back a lot differently than with the tandems. I'm still kind of, it's finally starting to click with me, but I was having trouble when I was in the moment because I get real stressed out when I shouldn't be, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, yes, like sliding tandems, like back this, it'll spin on a dime, and I kept like overshooting. But with split axle trailers, they drag more, so that like, if you know, I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it. Like, it does, like when you turn all the way left with the sliding tandems, like you can get right under it. Whereas, well, not right under it, but compared to the split axles. Whereas the split axles, it takes a lot more time for the tractor to get underneath that trailer, and it's going to swing a lot wider. With your turn, it's going to swing a lot wider. So you've got to turn like earlier. You have to turn earlier to get under it, and you put less wiggle into it, or else it'll go way off, and you'll end up jackknifing it like a lot easier than with the tandems. So yeah, we did those, and then we did a written test with trip plans. So it was like, cause we're based in Cuba, Alabama. That's where our headquarters is. So they were like Cuba, Alabama to Pleasant Hill, where you're at right now, or Pleasant Hill to Hagerstown, which is a Lowe's distribution center. Things like that. Or there was like my test had like a sheetrock plant and stuff like that. And so you write them out in shorthand form, like the highways you go through, where you're going to put your fuel stops at, how many miles it is, things like that. And then after that, as long as they signed off on that and they signed off for our test for that day, we was quickly about my test. It was pouring raining, and those tarps already weigh 110 pounds. So you got to think, if it's pouring raining out, and you've got this tarp wide open on the ground, what's going to happen to all that water? It's just going to coagulate on that tarp. So I had to take this tarp that was getting sopping wet and fold it all the way back up and try to like wring this water out of it somehow, and then pick that jerk up and throw it onto the back of the bed. And it was like, I couldn't even get my arms around it. I had to pick it up by the straps. Like, it was, but it's a real world scenario. They ended up helping me. The guy instructor ended up helping me just because, like, you know what I mean, I didn't need to strain that hard because I still had the written test to do. I didn't need to struggle like that. But real world scenario, if you're in flatbed, it's rain, sleet, shine, snow, whatever. You got to get those tarps down, fold them up, and get them on there. So after we finished the test, we got the information for our trainer. Now I lucked out because my trainer is only 30 minutes away from me down 78. So I just leave my house, I get right on the highway, I follow it for 30 minutes, and then I get off, and I'm right there. So it was very easy for me. But there were the two other guys in my class. One of them was 90 miles, which isn't too bad. The other one was 240. That's like... Now granted, McElroy's set up, and other companies would probably set up the same way, where if your trainer's over a certain distance, in McElroy's case it was 200 miles, they'll pay for you to get a hotel room while you're there, and they'll pay you transportation pay to get there and back. And I think there's some other payment compensation that they throw in there somewhere. He's from North Carolina. You had to go all the way down to Georgia, which is like, whew, whew, yeah. So then I went home for that weekend, and then for me, mine was different. Some of them started on Sunday, but me, I started on Monday because we did night runs, which was a pretty good introduction where I wasn't working too terribly hard and I could adjust a lot quicker because I was able to come home every night for those. So for the daily runs, it would go from, say, we'd pick up from Hagerstown, Maryland, and we'd go to like Philly area, which is like, hold on, my screen went out, that's why the thing got all wonky. Philly area, which is like 180 miles or so, give or take. So that's like 3 hours. And then coming back was 2.5 hours. It was like, what, like 160 miles, something like that. So we could come home every day. We'd leave at like noon. We'd come back at like 11 p.m., something like that. And so I got to see Philly, God, which was fun. So for the daily runs, yeah. I went to 50th Street, and there were a couple other places near Philly that I went to. And then, besides that, I went to Voorhees and Brick Township, New Jersey, Elmira and Buffalo, New York. Buffalo, New York was a hike. That was a real hike. And Erie, PA, which I was just at this morning. This morning I was at Erie, PA, and then we came back from there. We picked up our trailer for this upcoming Monday, which is going to New Jersey, and then we came home. So the way that the schedule works, if you're out normally... Actually, let me talk about first meeting with the trainer. So that Monday, I went out and I met with him, and for those next 4 weeks, you're basically like attached to the hip with this guy, following him around everywhere, and he gets his regular work schedule as if you weren't there, but he just has you along with him. Now, Cuba only required like a quarter of the driving to be done by the student. But in my case, my trainer Brett let me do all of the driving, which I loved, doing all the driving, because that's like the one part I want to do by myself is the driving. He can help me with the tarps and the straps and all that, but I'm going to drive because that's the fun part in my eyes. So yeah, and he just teaches you everything that you need to know, like helps you with trip planning to the destinations. He gave me a list of good fuel stops to go to in the area, things like that, because I'm going to be fairly local. Like, as far up we go is like western New York up to Buffalo. Like, there's Buffalo, Elmira, and I forget what the third place is, Wood something or Lumber something, I forget the name of the town. And then there's like Erie, Philly area, Pittsburgh area, though I don't think we go to Pittsburgh. Maybe, I don't know, but I haven't been there yet. I'll have to figure that out. And then we do southeast New Jersey. So there must be another Lowe's flatbed distribution. I should have checked before I filmed this. There's probably another Lowe's distribution center somewhere right there in like northeast or northern New York that covers that area up there. And then, yeah, your trainer shows you everything. We've gone to fuel stops. She's shown me how to do all that. Rest areas, pulling into stops. But what I like about McElroy, and specifically for what I'm going to be doing, is that I'm only going to, because, like I said before, how there's only 2 other McElroy drivers in the state of PA. So they're very busy with the Hagerstown account, Hagerstown, Maryland Flatbed Distribution Center. So I've only been to Hagerstown. I've never picked up a load from anywhere else. And the only stuff you take from Hagerstown is the stores that are in that DC's radius. When you pick up from DC like that, you only go to places in its radius. So, So yeah, all of my trips are going to be in one day. So it'll be, for example, I'll have either the night runs, where I pick up in the morning, like 11 o'clock noonish from the DC, take it to the store, we get offloaded at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and then go home. So, it was a pretty relaxing, but you know, that's not where the money's at, you know what I mean? Or there's the weekly runs like we did the second week, and this week the third week, which is you go to Hagerstown, you drop whatever trailer you had off. You pick up a loaded trailer and you take it to that store, and you get there around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And then you sleep in the truck there in the back of the Lowe's store, which they let you do because McElroy is like loved by Lowe's, and we do so much for them, and we have such a big account with them. So it's great that I get like a nice parking spot, and I don't gotta find, you know, like those tight backing spots in truck stops and stuff like that. I don't have to deal with that. I can just pull in the back of the Lowe's in the unloading section, park my truck, pull the shades closed, and sleep there, which is fantastic. I love it. I never have to back up, do alley docks, none of that. It's all pull forward, only moving forward. I love it. So you sleep there, and then at like 6 o'clock in the morning, usually, all of ours have been like 6 o'clock, they'll come out and they'll unload your truck. You do all of your file information, the Qualcomm and whatnot. You head back to Hagerstown with that empty trailer, drop it, pick up the new one, go to the store, repeat. You get there like 7, 8 o'clock, sleep, they unload you at like 6, go back to Hagerstown, go to the next store. And then you do that for 5 days, and then you go home for the last 2 days, which is pretty good. Like, it's only New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, and New Jersey. Like, all places I can get to in a day without having to stop. So I'm really not complaining about that. And then, yeah. So, my trainer Brett, he's actually about my age. He's 25. He's been driving for 2 years. So we get along really well because, you know, like, we're both in the same age group. He's a real go-getter, though. Like, this man will go to Buffalo like 3 times a week, like sitting there like gotta watch the time clock. Was that you pulling into the DC? Switch on duty. You know, like that. You know what I mean? Just milking the clock for every second because he's got it, or else he's not going to make it, and he's going to run out of drive time on his Qualcomm. So they're going to start me out a little slower, which I like. You know, that they're not going to, first week on the job, they're going to be like, yeah, you're going to Buffalo. Yeah, I'm not about that. But he's a real go-getter, and he makes a lot of money. Like, his gross pay for the last week was somewhere in, like, the 1500s. Like, pretty good. He does more than that, too. 1600, 1700, 1800. Like, if you're a hard worker, and you get going, and you keep going, like, this company rewards very well, which I'm very happy about, and I hope that I can take advantage of that once I get, you know, used to how things go. So Hagerstown, right, because there's only 2 other drivers in PA, I'm only really going to be out of Hagerstown at all, since, like I said, that's the only places we've been. So remember before, I talked about those Lowe's trailers where they like to play Tetris? Yeah, that's become very relevant. It's become very relevant. All of them are just janked. I can see if I can go on like a pick upload site, and I might pin some pictures in the description either today, tomorrow, in a couple days. So if you watch this before I get there, check back in a couple days, and I might upload a picture of like what the Lowe's loads look like that I've taken so far. And you know, it's like we had one where there was the long orange ladders, right, on top of like the section of pipe that's half of its length. It's on top of lumber. Then there's the pipe that's like maybe this wide. Then there's orange ladders that are like this wide, and they were slanted. And on top of that was a bunch of blue ladders that were like all disheveled. And on the other side there was like a box of some piping and stuff, light stuff that was stacked on top on the other side. When the forklift driver tried to pull this off and he brought the forks through, it hit the ladders and they just tumbled. Like, they just tumbled off because they were like already slanted, disheveled. It was barely holding on by a thread. And yeah, so I got to see how Lowe's stacks their flatbeds. And they put the belly straps and stuff in for us, and they throw 1 or 2 straps over. Granted, they're not they're not the best at throwing straps because they'll end up in terrible places sometimes, or they'll get all twisted up when they go over. So I'm not like complaining, like, you know, like you just throw them back, you move them, and you throw them again. You know what I mean? I can't expect these guys to be masters of throwing straps, you know, because their job's to load it. It's not to do that stuff for us. I should mention that. It's not their job. They just do that out of the kindness of their heart. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, strapping it, you just flip the tarp up, because it's tarped already from Hagerstown. They're tarped already, which is fantastic. So I don't got to get up there and throw these huge tarps on top. And, yeah, so you just pick the tarp up, look underneath, see where everything's at, and picture it on both sides. See where you want to throw your straps up so you can secure it down. Toss them over, secure them down, tighten them up. You get your bungees, tighten the tarp down, you're good to go. Like no other, like that's what makes it. It's a little more. It's a little more difficult, but not in a manual labor way, in a creative way, because of how they stack this stuff so uneven sometimes. That, well, most of the time, that you have to get creative with your strap throwing. It's not as simple as, like, if you're in flatbed trading, you'll know what I'm talking about, where put 2 in the front to block and brace, 2 in the back to block and brace, and then you just throw it here, 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 here every 5 feet. Like, it's not it's not that simple. Or like each section needs 1 here, 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 and how structured it is. This, you gotta look, it's like, okay, well, you've got this that goes up here, so I gotta put 1 in the front of that. And I've got something that goes up a little higher, so I put 1 here, and that'll hit the back of this, and the middle of that, stuff like that. So it just takes creativity to figure out. But overall, since it's tarped already, your belly straps and stuff are already through it, and sometimes they throw a couple over for you, like, it makes it not that bad to deal with. It just bothers my OCD, you know what I mean? Because I like the flat trailers where it's like, yeah, you've got 6 things of rolled paper, and then you just go, okay, 2 straps in the front, 2 straps in the back, and 1, 1, 1, 1. Good. You know what I mean? Like, it looks so neat. Where this is like, doesn't look neat. So you gotta try your best to make it look neat. But it was quite the experience. So I bought my GoPro. I got a GoPro Hero 9. And I took some clips when we were going up to Erie. I was taking a bunch of photos, which I shouldn't have, and it kind of drained the battery. So, but I have, like, the video I'm about to upload, I'll either do it before Monday, or I might do, like, a weekly schedule and start uploading stuff. Like, I'll do it next week, like, next Friday. And, upload, like, of me driving and things like that, so you can see. We got the manual transmission, you can watch me shifting and stuff like that. Doing my mirror checks, stuff like that, taking some nice turns, seeing some nice scenery, stuff like that. So that's like the direction I want to go more of in the future. Less of the, you know, face talking videos and more of the on the road. Now, I'm not talking at all in these GoPro videos, but once I'm on my own, you know, I can like talk about stuff that's going on and have some dialogue to go along with it, and then I can go in depth with, like, when I'm doing cargo securement on some interesting trailers, stuff like that. You know, we'll figure it out. We'll get there. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. But I got the GoPro. I got a headset too, which I got to try out, and it wasn't bad. I'll have to see if it lasts though. But if there's any veterans who watch this video, you're probably gonna yell at me. But I got the Clear Drive 220 by Rand McNally. I can hear it already. Boo! You're not a real trucker. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Which I can actually show you. And the reason I liked this one was because over the Blue Parrot, like the Blue Parrot 450 seems to be the most popular one that everyone gets. And that's the one that's like praised by everyone as being like the best in the industry. But I just thought the ear cups were so small, whereas these are like the same size as my gaming headset, and it fits real nice over my ear. And so that's why I picked that. Then the other reason was because, so it's got this, you know, the style where you've got the one ear open so you can hear your truck and things like that. But for when I'm not driving, there's a button on here, and I can remove this, and I can put a second ear cup onto it. So it has full functionality for both full headphone set, which I liked. I think the Blue Parrot 550 has that, but they didn't have it at the Love's truck stop, and I'm lazy, so I got this one because it was available, and it had good reviews too. When I looked at this ClearDrive 220, the earlier ones, like I saw the I saw the ClearDrive 200, and that one didn't really have good reviews, but this ClearDrive 220 looked pretty good and had good reviews. So I have a 30-day return policy at Love's for it. So if I get any problems, I can just take it back and I can exchange it for, like, if I want the 450, or if they have the 550 in stock, I can get the 550, things like that. So I can use that for phone calls and stuff like that. And then I also got, and if you're getting into trucking, I would say that this is a must, an absolute must to get. I don't think they have something like this on Apple, but if you have an Android phone, there's an app called Google Voice Access that I got on my phone. And Google Voice Access is an app that lets you completely control and manipulate your phone specifically through voice. So it shows up in your notification bar when you have the app turned on. You can turn it on and you can tell it anything. Like, for example, like my music, right? I can be at my home screen, I can just unlock my phone without looking with my thumbprint, and I can be like, because you can, it's just on and it's constantly listening once you turn it on. And I could just say, open Spotify, go to my library, click like songs, say scroll down until I find something I like, say the name of the song and it'll click on it. Or I can say like shuffle, or go back to my home screen, notification bar, and it'll crank it down. And I can say swipe up from the bottom, and then it'll swipe it up and it'll swipe my notification bar away, things like that. It's an absolute must, because I've only just got the app like a couple hours ago, and it's powerful. And it knows everything about your phone, seeing as though Google is so tight with Android that, you'd expect it to be that way. But I was honestly blown away by how crazy this app is. It can follow any gesture, click any part of the screen, open up text bars and type for you, everything. It takes care of it all for you. It knows everything. So yeah, Google Voice Access, that's a great app, fantastic. So, also, when we were out on Thursday, they got a message on the call quam from the big boss, Jay McElroy. And he said, starting the 1st of September, which is, what day of the week is that? That's a Sunday, which is actually the Sunday before I start actually working and making the full rate. We're getting an increase by 3 cents a mile for all pay brackets. So, for example, I'm starting at 53 cents a mile. I'm not starting at 53 cents a mile anymore. I'm starting at 56 now. So that's probably because if you see Lowe's stock, it's gone up since COVID. It's gone up since COVID because, so many people got laid off of work, and what better is there to do than, do home improvement projects. So that's what everyone's been doing. So it's been good, and there's been steady work, especially since there's only 2 other McElroy drivers in PA. So I'll get a lot of work out of Hagerstown, and I'm excited to do it, and I'm excited for everyone who stumbles across my channel to see it, because I plan to go back to it. You know what I mean? Once I'm a couple years down the line into the job, and seeing like how I progress as I'm going through, and getting adjusted to this lifestyle, because it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that follows you home in your nails. So next, not this week, but the following week, I go down to Cuba, Alabama for my final testing. So I'm there for a week, and I'm not too sure what goes on. I guess we just do more classroom stuff, the same we were doing in Pleasant Hill, and then they really nail like testing with us and make sure that we've got everything down. And then, assuming I pass all that, I get assigned my truck. I come home, and I'm full-fledged employee with the company. I start working that Monday. So that's the future, what's coming up. And then we sleep in the truck there. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to upload a video that week until I come home, because I won't have Wi-Fi connection or anything, because I'll be staying in that truck. But we'll see. We'll take it by ear. I might even figure out how to use the text posts on YouTube, and I can use them as I'm going through that week, because I'm sure that'll be quite a stressful week. So yeah, that's wrap up of meeting with my mentor, and what it'll be like to meet with your mentor. Attach this, like I said, attach this guy by the hip, and he shows you everything, and gets you going, and gets you ready for when you're on your own. And it's been quite a learning experience. It's been a lot of information, and it's been a little tough to take it all in, but I'm getting there. There's a lot of you arrive at the DC, arrive at shipper, put yourself on duty. Entering your load information, remembering to do that. Mostly for me, it's all Qualcomm stuff, remembering to do that, which I'm gonna litter my truck with sticky notes to make sure that I remember all of this stuff, which isn't really a bad idea, So it's just getting in the, because a lot of it's repetition, but there's a lot of information to take in. So don't be discouraged. You know what I mean? If you get into it, or you're listening to me tell you how it's a lot of work. Once you get into the routine of things, it's just second nature, and you'll just bang it right out. But yeah, so this was about meeting with mentor, things like that. So hope you guys enjoyed. This video went on a little longer than the rest, but I hope you guys stuck with me to the very end. And if you did, hello, thank you very much. And I'll see you next time when I upload the driving videos from going to Erie, PA. And mountain climbing, I've got one with mountain climbing too that'll be pretty fun, a couple minutes. So until then, life in the hammer lane, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.